Hallo und willkommen to my new video, and since you can already tell from the title, it's about drawing your own manga. So, of course, today we are diving into the exciting world of manga. If you ever dreamed about creating your own manga page, complete with original characters, this is the video for you. I'll be walking you through the process step by step, from brainstorming ideas to some sketching and most importantly inking. Let's get started. The first question is, where do we start? How do we create our own manga? Well, it all starts with an idea and, of course, original characters. So let's talk about that next. Your characters are the heart of your manga. To make them stand out, start by thinking about their personality, their backstory and role in the story. For example, the manga page that I will be drawing today, and I will only draw one single page, because I simply do not have the time to draw more than that. So in this entire page I will have two separate characters. They do share a story together. So just a small talk about the story that I'm drawing. It's about vampires. Why? I don't know, vampires are cool. Yes, and we had Halloween recently, so yeah, I like vampires is the thing that I want to tell you. The first character, the main character of the story, his name is Zane. Why is his name Zane? I don't know, I think it sounds cool. And with the backstory I'm about to give you, it actually makes sense. The second character, his name is Luther. And his name is older because, since you can already see from his style and his long hair, his obviously very stereotypically vampire clothing, he is an old vampire. And he is a stereotypically vampire. And Zane, who, surprise surprise, is also a vampire, but doesn't wanna be a vampire. I don't know how well I can explain this, because it's still not finished. The story is not really original, like a lot of stories like these exist already. And this is only a small drawing and a kind of an example that I want to show you with what little inspiration you can actually start a story with. So Zane, the main character, was a vampire, but he saw how the vampires treated the humans, right? They used them for blood and killed them whenever they felt like it, enslaved them. So he was like, nah, I don't want this no more, and started fighting the vampires, like every fucking vampire story I will ever see. And well, so a war started between them. And he got burned really badly, which is why he has a lot of scars around his body and especially on his face. And Luther is the body from Zane. Well, they're not bodies anymore, they're enemies now. Because, well, Zane kind of betrayed Luther, but Luther is also really evil. And, well, now they're meeting again. Why are they meeting again? I'm not sure, I just wanted to draw them meeting again. So that's basically the story, but you can already tell that these characters are really distinct. They are contrasting each other. They have like personalities just by their clothing. Like Zane is only wearing a denim jacket and some t-shirt and some really cool pants with a lot of pockets on them. And Luther is just wearing this vampire clothes with this weird cloak and this layers of clothing and this royal stuff and a lot of jewelry, and you can already see the contrast in personalities in the clothing. So when you design your characters, you need to have some sort of style in mind, so you can actually tell something of the personality from just the clothes. You know what I mean? And of course also the hairstyles and maybe their facial shape also. Yeah. For example, Luther actually has long hair, as you're seeing in my drawings when you continue this video. He has long hair, and Zane has short hair. Because short hair is more popular in the modern day and more popular with humans, and males. So Zane is kind of siding with the humans. He wants to protect them, but he's also being called a monster by the humans because, well, he is a vampire. And he's kind of hiding that he's a vampire. I have so much to tell, but okay, let's go on. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to tell you, right? So, now that you have your characters, next it's time to plan the page. Manga pages are typically read from right to left and top to bottom, so keep that in mind before you start sketching. Map out a rough storyboard, also known as thumbnails. This helps you decide the layout, panel size, and where dialogue or action will go. So in my page, I want to showcase the story that I just previously told you. So I have divided the dialogue that I wanted to say in some around 6 or 7 panels. I don't know what you call this, little pictures inside the manga's page. So I'm just calling them panels, but you can educate me on this topic in the comments if you want to. I'm not sure how you call it. So to make the story clear what's happening, you have to think logically where you want to start. Like, for example, it starts with Luther saying, so you finally come back. So you already get some sort of storyline behind that just from these simple few words. You don't have to have an entire text bubble with like 2 pages of text and squeezed into one tiny bubble. Keep the words short. When you read mangas, typically the words aren't. You don't read that many sentences in one speech bubble. Maybe the most sentences are like 3 sentences in one, but that's also kind of a lot. It's kind of divided into more bubbles as you keep seeing pictures. And it makes it easier to read and understand what's going on, you know? So once you have the sketch down, I'm not showing my sketching process because it takes quite a long time and I don't have that much time to film. So you're constantly seeing me inking the sketch right now, so that's basically what you're doing. Once the sketch looks good and you're happy with it, it's time to ink. Inking is where the page truly comes to life. Use bold lines for the foreground and thinner lines for the background details to create some depth. What I'm trying to tell you, don't keep using the same size of line art. I'm guilty of this in my digital art. I always use the same size of brush and it doesn't look dynamic enough. You can use it to stylize your drawings, sure, but especially in a manga page where you look at black and white stuff, you have to have some sort of line variation, like some thicker lines and some thinner lines to make it look interesting, to make it look like it's worth looking at, you know what I mean? Because if everything has the same line thickness, it just looks boring. Even if you're the greatest artist in the world, it will just look plain and lame and boring, you know? So make it exciting and don't be afraid of messing up. I messed up a lot about aligning and inking this drawing, but it doesn't matter because, well, it's just a drawing. Who's gonna criticize you, huh? It's about the story, it's about having fun, so keep that in mind. Take your time here. Inking is all about precision and style. It's also where you can add textures, shadows, and even speed lines for dramatic effect. You can use some techniques like cross-hatching or just like I did for the background, just lines and then lines in the other direction to create more depth. I personally am not only using ink, I'm using watercolors and fine liners, simply because I don't own any expensive stuff. I don't have ink, I don't have these fancy pens, like ink pens, I don't have them, so I'm using watercolors and some fine liners that were really cheap that I picked up at some store outside. You don't have to have expensive stuff. It's all about technique and how you draw it, how experienced you are. But even if you aren't that experienced, you can create something beautiful. So when you have all that figured out, the dialogue, where do you put the speech bubbles? That's actually a great question, and I'm still not sure. I took a manga that I owned, like I'm reading Blue Lock right now, and I'm looking at some manga pages there, and I'm like looking where the speech bubbles go, where the professional mangaka put them. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that as well. You can take inspiration, but obviously don't copy everything. Like, it's important that these speech bubbles don't cover up crucial parts of the drawing, and it's also important that the speech bubbles don't stop the flow. You have to have a flow while reading, because sometimes in the manga I don't know where to start reading. It's really weird, and I read this piece, the fifth speech bubble, but it's actually no, I don't know how to explain this. Like, I'm reading the fifth speech bubble as first, and the actual first speech bubble is like somewhere away, and then I don't understand anything because I'm not reading it in order. Like, so I'm trying to make it obviously in order. I don't know if I managed to do that, but you can tell me that in the comments actually, because I decided to make like a small speech bubble, so you see where the story is starting. Then it goes on to you finally come back, and then I kind of made the speech bubble go down, so you look at the page, at the picture down, and then the next speech bubble after betraying your own kind. It also kind of goes down, so you follow the flow. You know what I mean? Like a line through your pages. It's kind of hard to explain, honestly. Jeez. And actually, you can take your sweet time. I actually took a week because I'm also working, and I don't have that much time to draw, so it took me quite a while to finish this. I'm really sad about that, honestly. There are honestly a lot of techniques in making a manga look presentable, and I'm sure there are a lot of on YouTube that you can look up. I personally didn't look up anyone's tutorial because, like I said, I just don't have the time to learn it. I just started drawing. I wanted to draw a manga page. I don't even remember why. I got inspired by something and I started doing it. So if you were inspired by this video, you can do it as well. Also, you can write me in the comments if you have more tips for people who want to draw a manga page. You can write it in the comments so the people can actually read it, but it's not a necessarily thing. Jesus. I'm also sorry for my English. I'm German, as you couldn't tell by the intro I made. So I think my accent is really obvious, and I don't like my German accent. So yeah, I also don't really know how to cut the videos, so it makes sense. I don't know how to explain this. Yeah, okay, let's talk about this. Here you can see the end result. As you maybe have noticed, I use some texture paper, some foil that you can put on your drawing and scribble on top so the texture stays on your drawing. But it's quite expensive, so I don't recommend it. It also ripped some paper apart, so yeah, decide for your own if you want to use things like these. It can help a lot, but you can also achieve it by just scribbling it on by yourself. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you had a great time, and I hope it helped. Write me some criticism in the comments if you want. See you in the next one.